shouldn't it be this?
Oh, you're the edge of it. Why don't we just choose one? You take one, I take the other one. We would not be.
With my booty like that, my booty too precious.
He tells us about.
Am I still in here? Okay, I'm still in it.
I got some things to talk to you about on this.
Am I still in it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can't see. I don't have my.
Okay, I can see.
Yeah, okay, now I can see. Got you.
How you doing?
What's going on, Joe?
I know this is a special edition. I don't know when this is going to view, when we're going to do this, but
I love special editions.
I'm a
special edition.
This is a misfit show.
I'm in my element. That's the
we're in nature again. We always finding some nature to go to.
You know I'm always
but you know what it is. They see all the trees that we have, but really what keeps us attracted to these nature things is the water.
They don't see the water.
They don't see the water. I have already taken.
So can we
I've taken my shoes off.
You have. I got that footage I could put with it. I was filming you and you didn't know it.
I've always film ready.
Okay. So what
I just don't talk film ready.
Is like afterwards maybe
we
just walk it in.
We can go down there and see.
I'm not going down there, but we could just.
We can walk and see it.
Okay, cause I ain't going down there.
Okay. I was a little naughty a second ago. I seen some beautiful specimens of mankind.
Why you said it was naughty?
I was naughty. It wasn't bad. I was naughty. I was just. From afar, I was just flirting with them. You know, I can be honest with myself. I'm transparent. The firemen came.
Yeah, there was a fire.
The police officer.
You stupid.
But the firemen, it was all in different colors. I think one was a little light skin.
Oh, I thought you said in different colors. I was about to say.
And the other one was
the same thing.
The other one was light skin like me.
And
then we had one that was.
Yeah, that chocolate dude. He was in there too.
But okay. And then the cop was the color of those trees, but you know. But regardless of that.
Okay. You calm down now. You okay?
My heart's still going behind. This is us, really. Come on.
This is how we act.
If you ever, you know what? We're gonna invite y'all to come to our pre-show.
Yeah,
we're gonna go eat. We're gonna go eat with them. Just let them come and eat with us.
That would be dope, right there.
And then we're gonna go. Let's do it at JR Crickets.
Okay.
Let's have a.
Since we know we got that kind of camaraderie there,
we can go eat like we usually do. That's one of our main restaurants, College Park,
Main Street.
You go in there, you see the owner. He got a nice. He has dreads, but he has his wrap on all the time because he's trying to be food safety. But you tell him that Joe and the Misfits sent you. Mm-hmm. He'll make sure that you are served nicely. Okay. I wanted to talk about. I was looking around these trees and I've seen a lot of things. He doesn't know anything that I'm about to say.
I really don't. Y'all see me look. I'm looking at him like y'all are.
We're going to talk about the parable of the sower. And you see he's already studied. There's a parable in the Bible. It talks about a sower, and he sows into 4 different types of soil. Mm-hmm. At the best, there's the good soil. There's it's rocky soil, is it? Rocks. And then there is sand, which is the worst. Then there's a middle ground. What is that middle ground?
I thought it was that stumped me up because I thought it was 3 different types of soils that were sown into.
We always have a Bible on nearby.
And I like doing this because, again, I want them to see the imperfections and we know what we.
I knew what we was gonna talk about, but I still didn't come over here and try to.
I'm just saying, I like for this to be just this transparent with it because they can see we ain't perfect.
Okay, so some fell on no soil at all. So that's like the sand.
Right.
We got some on some rocky ground with little soil. Some on soil would contain thorns. That's when we have the thorny soil.
Okay.
And then we have the good soil.
But is that what it was called?
The soil good soil. It's called good soil. All right. We all understand what good soil is. Good soil is that stuff that has that what's that growth?
Fertilizer.
The fertilizer in it. It's all pure. It's dark. It has minerals in it. It has everything needed to grow. That soil's been through some things. That soil was not always like that. It actually went through some transformation.
It did.
Animals has deposited things inside of it so that it gets that richness. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to take the role of him for a second. Sometimes the shitty things that you go through actually is there to build you up. Okay, don't tell my mama I said that on TV. But once you receive a word and it's already in that good soil, it grows. It's able to do that. Now, it may grow, but it also has to be tended to.
Yes, it has to be watered.
You have to have water. You have to have some sunlight. You have to have somebody to weed out some things that may not be appropriate for your life. Oh my goodness, I'm really talking right here.
You really are.
Because I did not want. I still didn't want to go. I didn't want to go for it as just planting words and everything. I've heard it many times as people preach and tell you, don't worry about what you do. Just spray out your seeds. Be like Johnny Appleseed and just spray out seeds everywhere, and whatever it attaches to, or and don't worry. But I want to go through the point of the soil transforming in its life. Sometimes as you are transforming, you have thorns in your life. There's obstacles that keep you from really being 100%.
Yes, I agree.
And those thorns prevent you. Those thorns are above the soil, so you're getting the words. The word is planting in you and it's growing, but those thorns cause distractions.
Okay.
Cause malnourishment. Because you're not able to be weeded like you should be. You're not able to be. When you're malnourished, you don't have enough minerals to fully develop.
Exactly.
And so you don't get to where you want to be. But then you got that stony ground. And the soil is very little soil and everything because you have all these stones in the way. We in this trip we've seen a tree that was just we've seen a couple trees that were just totally uprooted.
Mm-hmm.
Now
I got pictures of those too.
Instead of the roots being inside of soil, which they were,
right.
If that was just rocks, it wouldn't be able to get everything it needed.
Okay.
Now, there's some plants that are able to adapt to those changes.
Right.
But we're talking about the majority. We're talking about the majority, and that's not a good environment.
I'm only looking around because you stated they can see all of the trees. Mm-hmm. And those three examples that you just gave are right in the back of the road. Like, you can literally see all of this through here. Mm-hmm. You can really see the back of it. Some of those uprooted, which are up here. Yeah. Some that's growing. You can see how tall it is. Yeah, so you can really see the whole just what he explained.
So and then we have the last one.
That's weird that you spoke that. We'll could tell y'all about that later.
We have the last one that's, I'm gonna call it sand, but it's no soil at all. There's no nourishments in it. Sand doesn't have the embodiment in the nutrients to support growth. There's sometimes in your life that you're just like sand, and growth is not growth. You can't grow right there. So what we need to do is move you out of that sand trap, and we want to develop you. We want to pour soil into you so that the soil takes over from what the sand is.
Okay. And I'm gonna read I found it, and I don't think I wasn't being attentive, y'all, but I'm like that. I like to be like that, on point, kind of. Here's what he was talking about. It's actually found in Mark 4, 1 through 20. And I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but I'm gonna start from where this is more than likely King James.
Okay.
But then it says, a sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seeds fell along the path, and the birds came and devoured it, which is that
sand.
So that sandy kind of.
It never got into the soil.
Okay.
It was just laid on top.
And as he sowed, some fell along the path. Okay, and the birds came and devoured it. Other seeds fell on rocky ground, where it did not have much soil, and it immediately sprang up, since it had no depth of soil. And when the sun came, it scorched it, and kind of basically, since it didn't have no root, it withered away. And then it was the third one, which was the other seeds fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no grain. And then the other seeds, it is a fourth one, and the other seeds fell into good soil, produced grain, growing up and increasing in yielding 30-fold and 60-fold and 100-fold. And he said, "He who has ear to hear, let him hear." I had to do that because you pulled them out right, but I wanted them to get the whole gist of the scripture.
I want to talk about the birds also.
Oh, they got quiet because they knew you was going to talk about them. They've been chirping all this time.
The birds are there for a reason. I seen the person. I just was that.
And I told you, it do look like that.
We're gonna show you the pulpit that's behind you also. But the birds, these are your friends that you come up to Monday morning.
Why did I have a feeling you was gonna make some kind of analogy out of that? I just felt like that.
It's the people that fly into your life, take stuff and rob. They're not there permanently. They're not there because if it was not a squirrel that robbed the seed, because if a squirrel robbed the seed, it's going to digest in its system. Mm-hmm. It's going to be coated with all the things that it doesn't need, but it's going to poop it out, and it's going to replant it, and usually somewhere further in there. Okay, that's why it's called a cycle of life. You see trees that you don't see the parent tree nearby it because it took other vehicles to be traveled into that spot. So sometimes God gives you a word.
Come on with it.
And it's not for this season. It's not for these people that are around you. You got to take it somewhere else. You got to take it to the people that look more like you, that can listen to you, that you speak to, and you know their jargon.
I get it. Saying equally yoked.
Equally yoked. That's an easy way of saying it. Excuse me. I wrote my iPhone. But that's what happens when it's not planted. So we got the soil that didn't, the seed that didn't get planted, that just got on the pathway.
It just fell on the ground, and
the birds came and took it. I want you to be a squirrel and go plant your seed somewhere else. But You
So
have
you saying collect their seeds and take
take
it and
it,
make
take it
their
somewhere.
seeds manifest. Ah, that's a good point.
And then you have the seeds that was on the stony ground.
Mm-hmm.
The stony ground,
It got in there, but it wasn't deep down in there enough to
I'm gonna blame this one. I'm gonna blame this one on the church.
Ooh.
I'm gonna seriously blame this seed on the church because these are the people that are excited and they just
condemn them right off the bat.
It's not even that way.
Stop doing that, people.
The condemnation could do it too, but they're excited. And then one person asks them a question. So how are you saved? They don't know that answer because they haven't got their foundation correct. They haven't got. Right. What happens to roots is roots seek water sources. If the water is, if they don't find groundwater, they find water that comes down from heaven, and they soak up the water from different parts of the
feed it up into
the tree. Mm-hmm. So if they don't have the source, the spirit in them that's feeding them from the roots, from a foundational standpoint, mm-hmm. they're unable to sustain. So they will burn up. They burn up because they don't have the substance, and then they die.
Come your officers and your firemen and stuff. But here's my thing. When you say that, let's take it a step further. I won't necessarily say that how are you saved or when were you saved. Wait, hear me out. How I won't necessarily, and I know you're not saying this wrong. I won't necessarily say that that's a wrong question. My thought process for that is, I get it when they ask those questions. I understand it, but it's like, what happens when you ask that question and you see all of the joy in the person, and then that person kind of starts to digress, mm-hmm. and then that's where I fault the individuals at then, because you asked a very valid question, but it's like, pay attention to the actions of that individual, because their body language would tell them, just like you said, they're not rooted. This could be their first time even stepping in the doors, mm-hmm. and you coming with such a broad and intricate question that they already on them. They high because they're like, oh, I'm going to church. They mustered up the strength to do this, mm-hmm. but then you're coming back and telling and asking this question. Now you put them on pins and needles, mm-hmm. because they don't know now what they were walking into to begin with. So with that, I get that whole point, but with that, what I would like to add to that is, when it comes to the churches accepting people, mm-hmm. they need to understand, and I know this could be like a gray line or something like that, but a gray area, but you have to talk as if there's always somebody new there. Don't come with the whole jargon that this person is there, or at least put out a disclaimer to let them know, this is church, blah, 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 but if you got this, there should be something when they come forth. Another
thing, teach people, especially new births, it's all right to say, I don't know. It is quite easy to say, I don't know, but I do know someone that does know, and give them someone else. That might not steer everyone into the church, but a lot of times it will steer that individual from not shunning out and saying, I don't know, maybe I'm not saved. It doesn't allow them to put that doubt into their mind. Because
now you're confusing me from where you're coming from. Give me your thought on that.
This is what I'm saying. When the person is, when a new birth comes, they're happy, they're exuberant, they have this new feeling of the Spirit of God upon their life, and you ask them any type of question that they do not have answers for.
Okay.
This is a baby.
Okay.
That's like asking a baby, how do you cook some baked potatoes?
Okay.
How do you cook potatoes? Let's say it like that, because there's many ways to cook a potato, but the baby doesn't know how to do any of them.
Okay.
But it may discourage that person and like, I don't know what that the answer is. And then
so you're saying
the
individual that was the question was asked of
right.
needs to let them know that they don't know.
The other person they don't know.
Okay.
Because
I wanted to make that clear because it sounded as if you were coming like the church person should say, or the church member should say they don't know. And I was like, wait a minute.
Well.
I mean, it understood where you was getting ready to go with that, but it's one of those things where, again, we're kind of saying the same thing with your spin versus mine, but it's one of those things. How y'all doing? Well, good. So it's one of those things where it's like, here we go with, this is what people are faced with when they walk in the doors of church. This is why churches are losing members. They're so adamant about sticking to the old traditions. And again, that will hold your older congregation. You know what I'm saying? That keeps them afloat. But what about your new members? And that's what's like being. I watched the service this morning, and I sent you a link to it because I thought you were at work. And I said, well, I know you're working, but I sent the link to you that in your leisure time to see what you thought about it. And I like this concept of this new pastor.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay.
I didn't.
You didn't watch it?
No, I watched part of it.
Okay.
I grew up church.
Okay.
I love. No, we know. I grew up church. I love the praise and worship.
Okay.
But I skimmed through it. 30 minutes in, we're still in worship.
I know.
I was like,
I was finna go there.
I was like 30 minutes, we're still in worship. I feel like worship is a very intricate part of a Christian's life. Don't get me wrong on that. But
okay.
Go overboard on anything.
Before he chimed in, that's exactly where I was gonna go with it. When I watched the whole thing, and
it was an hour and 40 minutes.
It took you dang near 40 minutes almost to the minute before you started getting into your message. I get it. But even the one guy that was, and this is nothing against that man, but even the one guy, he was even tired that he wouldn't have sat down. And I don't know if people really caught that, if that's regular. Again, I'm not trying to pick this man's service apart, but I'm giving what I'm hearing from some of the younger and the newer generation that wants to go to church, that wants to rebuild the church, that wants to have restoration, and feel that if they want to be the ones to go to a physical building. I get it, but this is what they're faced with, and it's the tradition. Where he's saying he's non-denominational, I went through his whole spiel of a interview that he did before watching the live service, and I've always studied pastors. I've been studying them since I've been going to church. I don't necessarily listen too much to the message, but I was watching gestures, sign languages, body languages and movements and things of that nature. And when I saw that man go sit down and worship, I was just like, okay, y'all gotta be done. And the women stood behind there and they were like ready to sing. And then when the pastor came up, I didn't even know it was the pastor at first, the way he came up. And then y'all could go sit down. Then you saw everybody march, go sit down. I'm thinking they finna continue on. I'm like, come on, y'all can't go that far with people that are hungry right now. They're really hungry. And it was like, even I was waiting with anticipation.
Hungry, which way?
I mean, for the word.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying they were hungry.
At 9 o'clock, I was hungry.
Yeah, I'm just saying I was hungry for the word. I was interested in seeing his deliverance. Mm-hmm. I know God is using me or using them and studying them for what he's about to take me to. And I see it flourishing.
Does anyone have a napkin around here?
And I see it flourishing, but and manifesting. Let me use that word. But it was just like when I saw that, because I was literally thinking about going to visit, and I actually changed my mind.
That church is local?
Yeah. Yeah, it's right. It's not far from where I live.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was going to.
But,
I was going to actually go and visit, and it just, I ain't gonna say it turned me off because I still may go visit just to get the feel of it in person because I feel like my spirit is telling me to do that. But I probably, now that I know that whole 40-minute, almost an hour of worship, I probably won't go at the time it starts.
Church is getting like concerts. And I've only been to 3 concerts in my life.
I can't
but
say
wait a minute.
Yeah.
But if you're just there for the main person, you tend to come late.
Yeah.
So a lot of churches, you're like, well, I'm not trying to go through the hoopla of this, and that's gonna happen in church. Let me come about a half an hour late.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get the taste of it and be able to get the word, hopefully.
One thing I did like about it, though, I mean, he really emphasized how offering wasn't that important. Excuse me. Nature getting to me, y'all. How it really wasn't that of an importance. How the Spirit will lead you to do so, and I was totally blown when I heard that. I was like, wow. He's teaching something real on it, and it kind of gave me back to wanting to come back to, to come see. I really want to come see it now. Just I want visiting.
I want to visit some churches.
Yeah, I mean,
one thing that I was going to tell you about, which I didn't think had anything to do with my seed, my sowing of seed. Actually, you know what, you guys?
I know that
we're gonna stop this.
Yeah,
we're gonna go into the inner circle because this stuff, a lot of people are not gonna understand this. So I'm gonna stop for a second.